Hey everybody! Today we're going to talk about rolling and active releasing some of the muscles in your lower body. We're going to do hips and legs, and it's going to feel fantastic. Things that you're going to need for this video are your peanut, or your tennis balls inside of a sock, or your lacrosse balls inside of a sock. You need some kind of two balls connected together arrangement. You also might want some blocks, or maybe some books, or some other hard rectangular thing if you want to make stuff more intense. The rectangular thing is going to make everything feel more intense for sure. So if you're not familiar with rolling, if you haven't done a lot of it, then start without and see how you go. We're going to start with a little bit of a warm-up. We don't need to get super warm because we're not stretching or anything, but we do want to be a tiny bit warm before we roll. So we're going to start with some nice big hip circles. Switch direction. Now let's do some shoulder circles. Switch direction. Let's do some elbow circles. Switch direction. And wrists. And switch direction again. And let's nod the head from side to side. Let's make it a little bit bigger. And then let's make it a little bit smaller again. Until it's just the head. And then we can bring the head up and we'll turn the neck side to side. Let's drop ear to shoulder. And chin to chest and look up. Careful that you don't let your neck collapse. Think about keeping it really long, especially when you look upwards. And bring the head back to center. Let's take the rib cage forwards and back. Let's take it side to side. If you have a mirror, see if you can stand in front of the mirror and try and keep your head still and make your ribs move without moving your head. It's pretty hard. And then let's take the ribs in some big circles. And switch direction. And then let's open, reach the chest really far forwards, and close and round. Open, and close. One more time, open, and close. And roll it up. And let's do some circles with one leg. Switch directions. And then let's do some circles with the lower leg. And and switch directions. And ankle circles. And switch. Let's do the other leg. Draw some circles with the knee. And switching direction. And then let's do some circles with the lower leg. And switch direction. And some ankle circles. And switch direction again. And then let's come down to a wide second. So you're squeezing your butt, you're making sure that your knees are pointed over your toes. And then you can bring the hands onto the knees and just gently press outwards with the hands. Think about sinking the hips down and gently rock from side to side. And then we'll twist, look up, and then we'll go the other way. We'll do it one more time. And last one. Amazing. Come on up. I'm gonna get rid of a layer. Hopefully you guys are a little bit warm now too. So we're going to go through our bodies and we're going to do all of the things that I like to do in the order that I like to do them. So the first thing that I do before I roll my butt and hips is always do my upper back active release. So I kind of like work down my body. So if you watch my other stretch and release video, that's the one where I stacked up maybe 1 or 2 blocks and I put the peanut on either side of my spine and I start up here and I work my way down to about here. And again, the more blocks you stack up, the more intense it will feel. So I'm gonna start with this and see how I'm doing. And sometimes it can take a little bit of adjusting to get that peanut in quite the right spot, so don't be afraid to wiggle around. And I'm going to clasp my hands behind my head, let my head relax into my hands. You can imagine that your hands are like a little hammock, your head's on vacation. And then from here, I'm going to take a deep breath in as I curl upwards. And then I'm going to exhale and tip my head back. And then I'm going to inhale and curl upwards. Exhale, tip my head back. And I'm starting pretty high on my back. I'm all the way up on my trap muscles on either side of the base of my neck. And I just noticed how close I am to that wall. So I'm going to switch forwards before I move down my back. So the next spot I'm going to do is kind of right between my shoulder blades. I'm going to try for right there. And because I'm a little bit lower on my spine, I'm a little bit more balanced. So as I curl in, I'm going to lift my hips up and I'm going to round my lower back too. And then I'm going to exhale and arch everything over the legs. Inhale and round. Exhale and arch. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to inhale and round everything. And then exhale and arch everything. Come on out when you're ready. So I don't necessarily have a specific number of those that I do. Listen to your body. Notice whether things are extra tight. Maybe you need to do a little bit more when things are extra tight. Maybe if it feels like it's releasing pretty quick, you don't need to do as many. Just listen to what your body wants to do. I do try and do the same number in each of those positions. So I think I did like 6 in each spot. Somewhere around there is usually pretty good. Don't do it like every single day and give yourself giant bruises. That's not good. So maybe a few times a week is a nice number. But again, listen to your body. You do you. So the next one that I want to do is like for the big muscles on either side of my spine. So you can get rid of the blocks for this one. And I'm going to do one side at a time. So the first thing that I'm going to do is kind of position the peanut like here. So I'm underneath the floating rib area, which is like right here. So my upper back peanut finished here, and now I'm skipping over that floating rib area and I'm going underneath on like the lumbar spine area. And you're going to want to be super gentle for this one. So I'm just going to lean back on that peanut, prop myself up with my elbows, and then I've got the legs straight on the side that the peanut's on. And all I'm going to do is take a deep breath in here, and then exhale and bring my knee into my nose. And you can see I'm kind of lifting my bum up a little bit to put a little bit of extra pressure on that peanut. And again, the harder you lean on it, the more intense the sensation will be. So you do you, listen to your body. And I'm just going to move that peanut down a little bit so that it's like, more like here this time. And if it is super intense, you can keep your legs still. You don't have to do the leg movements. You can just let it release on its own here. If it is super intense for you, make sure that you are breathing really deeply, really fully. And then I'm going to move that peanut over to the higher up spot on the other side. We're going to do the same thing on the other side of our spine. You'll probably notice a difference between the sides of your body. Everyone kind of has a tighter side and a looser side. So just take note of that. You could, if you wanted to, spend a little bit of extra time on the tighter side if you had extra time. I'm moving the peanut down to that second location now. And I'm just using one side of the peanut, really. The second side is kind of just not doing much. So if you only had one ball, you could put that on either side of your spine too. It doesn't have to be the 2-ball arrangement for this. Nice work. Okay, we're gonna do our butts now. So, I'm gonna take a peanut and I'm gonna stick it like right up here on my butt. I'm gonna do 2 locations. I like right up here first, and then I'm gonna move it down a little bit second. So, I'm gonna take a peanut and I'm gonna sit on it in that slightly higher up location, and you can kind of like wiggle around until you find the spot that feels right. You don't want it to be like digging into your bones. And you can see I'm like kind of leaning sideways on it a little bit. I'm not like completely belly facing up, and I'm propped up on this leg and my elbows. And then if this feels super intense, you can just sit here. You can maybe rock back and forth if that feels good. If you want a little bit more, then you can take a deep breath in. And with your exhale, you can bring your knee in towards your nose again. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, bend. The other thing I like to do that might feel good is bring my knee into my nose and then circle it to the side as I extend my leg. Little knee circles here. So you can see how that feels for you. I think it's pretty great. And again, remember to breathe. I'm inhaling as my knee comes into my chest and exhaling to circle it to the side. And then when you're ready, you can scoot that peanut down a little bit. You might need to angle it a little bit so that it doesn't hit the bones in the back of your hip joint here. So I've got it like on an angle like that. And then I'm going to do all of the same things. I'm going to take a deep breath in, and then I'm going to exhale, bring my knee towards my nose. And again, if you find a really intense spot, you can just sit there and hang out. You don't have to keep moving. And if it felt good, maybe you could try some of those knee circles. Awesome. And then when you're ready, you can switch over to position number 1 on the other side. I'm going to spin around so you can see. Okay, so inhaling when your leg is straight, exhaling, bringing the knee into the chest. And if you find an extra good, extra juicy spot, you can stop and hang out there. And then if it feels good, you could do some of those leg circles. Again, I try and keep both sides of my body the same. So if I did leg circles on one side, I do them on the other side. And I don't necessarily have a specific number that I do. I think I did 6 again today. But do them until it feels like your body has released and it's ready to move on. But also don't do 1,000 of them, because you might give yourself some bruises and that would suck. And leg circles when you're ready. Nice. Okay, we're gonna do hamstrings next. So we did a little bit of this in the other video, but you might have caught it, so I'm gonna review it again. So I like to put the peanut like this on the hamstring, and I'll do it at the top, the middle, and lower down. So I'm gonna start at the very top, and then all I'm gonna do is roll my leg back and forth over the peanut. And you can see as I roll outwards, I'm like externally rotating a little bit, and then I'm turning in a little bit to come back inwards. And make sure that you're breathing. You find an extra good spot, which I just did. You can stop and hang out there. And when you're ready, move that peanut down a little bit and do the same thing again. If you want to make this more intense, you can lean on that leg. The more you lean forwards over that peanut and the more weight you put over top of it, the more intense it will be. And then move that peanut down one more time. And just make sure that you're not rolling like right on your connective tissue or on the back of your joint. You want to be really on the belly of the muscle for this one. Rolling the back of your knee joint won't feel good. And then let's switch on over. Let's do the other side. So again, I'm starting at the top of that hamstring muscle. And rolling back and forth. And I like to turn out on the roll out and turn in on the roll in, but you don't have to. Do what feels good for your body. And again, if you find a really good spot, you can stop and hang out there. Just make sure that you breathe into whatever you're feeling. And we'll do one more here, and then we'll move down. Alright, let's move it down to the middle of the upper leg. Calves are coming up next. You guys are going to love that one. And remember that you can lean on your leg if you want to, and that'll make it a little bit more intense. Then let's move down one more time, making sure that we're not going right on the back of the knee joint. We're keeping the rolling on the muscles, not the joint. So for this one, you can do it on the floor. You're just gonna put the peanut behind your calf. Or if you wanna make it more intense, you could grab a book or a block or whatever it is that you have chosen to use. And then I'm gonna put the peanut like here. So it's kind of a little bit outer on my calf. And then I'm engaging my quad muscle. I'm making my leg as straight as I possibly can. And you can see right now my foot's flexed. I'm gonna keep leaning on that peanut and I'm gonna slowly point my foot. And then flex. And then point. And we're keeping the knee as straight as we can the whole time. And make sure you breathe. This one can be a little bit intense. And then we're going to rotate the leg inwards so that we're on the inside part of the calf and do the same thing. Flex and point. Then let's move down a little bit. So I'm now like at the top of my big fuzzy socks. And I'm rotating outwards from my hip, making my knee completely straight, engaging all of these muscles, and then flexing and pointing slowly. And you can see I'm doing like demi foot and then point, demi, and then flex. So it's almost like you're wearing high heels halfway through. So I'm really working through that foot. We'll do 2 more. And then let's turn the leg in so that we are on the inner calf. Same thing. Pointing and flexing. Amazing. Now we're going to orient the peanut this way on the back of the leg. And again, you can do this on a block or not on a block. And we're just rolling back and forth like we did on our upper legs. And then move down the leg a little bit so that it's like top of big puffy sock territory. We don't want to roll right on our Achilles tendon though. That's why I'm only doing 2 spots on my calf so that I don't go too low onto that tendon back there. Amazing. Okay, let's switch over. Other side. So again, first I have the peanut like this on my outer upper calf. And I'm rotating my leg from my hip joint into a little bit of turnout, engaging all of these muscles, making my knees super duper straight, leaning on that peanut, and then point and flex. This is a great opportunity to work on your toe point too. And then let's rotate that leg in a little bit, put it on the inner calf. And then move it down the leg. peanut into this orientation. And we're gonna roll back and forth, which, if any of you have tight legs like me, this is the more intense one. So make sure you breathe through whatever you are feeling. And then let's move it down a little bit, same thing. Again, not right on that Achilles tendon, just above it where it's still muscle. Nice. Okay, we're gonna stand up and we're gonna do our feet a little bit, and then we're gonna do our calves. So, peanut's gonna be like this. I'm gonna back up so my head's not chopped off. Just like this. And then we're just gonna roll back and forth to start. Really get the arch of the foot. You'll feel where it feels good. And then the next thing you're gonna do is just lean your weight forwards onto that peanut. You're gonna curl your toes under like you're wrapping them down like that. And then you're gonna flex, curl, and flex. Now let's move the ball more into the middle of the foot. And again, curl the foot over the ball and flex. And the more weight you put forwards onto that peanut, the more intense this one will be. And we can go back to rolling it back and forth. And we'll switch sides. So again, it's kind of under the middle of my foot. And I'm just rolling back and forth from the ball of my foot to almost my heel, but I'm not rolling right on my heel. And then we'll leave the peanut under the kind of ball of foot area, and we'll curl the toes under and flex. Curl and flex. And again, the more weight you lean on that peanut, the more intense it will be. And then let's move a little bit further back so we're more under the arch of the foot. Same thing. Yes. And then you can roll back and forth again if it feels good after you did that. And maybe stretch your feet a little bit. Okay, so we're gonna roll our outer hip, and then we're gonna head down the front of the leg next. So the next one that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna find my pointy hip bone, and I'm gonna put the peanut just a little bit underneath it. So the front is like under the pointy hip bone, and then the ball on the side is like side of butt area. And then I'm gonna come down, and I'm just gonna lean on it there. You might need to adjust the teensy a little bit. It should feel fantastic, and possibly also terrible. Depends how tight you are. And then you can totally just stay here and maybe roll back and forth a little bit if it feels good. If you're still feeling really good, and you would like a little bit more, then I'm gonna prop up my top leg like this so my foot's flat on the ground. And then with my bottom leg, I'm gonna take a deep breath in, and then when I exhale, I'm gonna lift and lower. it'll feel pretty intense. Remember, you don't have to lift and lower. You can just hang out here if that's enough for you. And then once I've lifted and lowered a bunch, I do like to kind of roll back and forth a little bit. Feels really good. And then as it starts to loosen up, I'm rolling a little bit more onto my side so that I can start to migrate the peanut a little bit lower down. I'm not going all the way down the side of my leg because I don't like to roll on top of my IT band, but the side of that hip joint can get pretty tight. So if you find a good spot, feel free to stay there for a little bit. Make sure that you do check in with your breath. Breathe really deeply. And then the other thing that I like to do is bring my top leg in front, make sure that the knee of the bottom leg is in line with my hip, and then rotate it in and out. So I'm just lifting my heel up towards the sky. And then when you're feeling ready, we're going to do one more for our outer hips. This time, we're going to position the peanut like this. So again, this is my pointy hip bone here. So the peanut's kind of like on a diagonal down and to the side. And you'll feel there's like a big bone right here. This is the top of your leg bone. So the peanut, the gap between the two balls is kind of where that big bone sticks out, so that I'm not putting pressure right on the bone. The spot that I'm trying to get into is right here. And I'm just gonna lean sideways on that peanut. You'll know when you found the spot. And then I'm gonna bring my top leg back again. And then for this one, again, you can stay here if this one's really intense. I haven't done this one in a while. Boy, are there a lot of feels happening. If you're feeling good though, your leg can come in and then up and then reach back out. And you kind of gotta really find the right spot for that to work. In and then up. And again, make sure it's not right on that bone. You may need to adjust up or down a little bit depending on where you started with the peanut. Or you could just stay still if this is entirely too much, which is totally cool too. And then when I'm done moving my leg around, again, I like to just roll forwards and back a little bit. And if I find any really good areas, you can just stay there. All right, let's do the other side. You guys excited? That side felt so good. So again, we're starting with the peanut kind of lined up like this. My finger is on that aces right there, that pointy hip bone. And it's like kind of down and on a diagonal into that soft, meaty part of the hip. Okay. Just take a second to let your body get used to that, adjust to that a little bit. You can rock back and forth if it feels good. And then when you're ready, you can prop yourself up with this back leg and your elbow, and then lift and lower. Remember, you can just stay there if lifting and lowering is entirely too much for you. If you're looking for more cool active releases to do for your muscles, Surf Physio has a whole collection of them. You can check her out on Instagram. These ones are just my favorites. And then again, when you feel ready, you can bring that leg in front. You can have it like this, or you can bring it forwards like this. Bend that back leg. I'll put my leg up like this time so you can see the difference. So I'm kind of leaning my ankle back. You really got to squeeze your side butt. Make sure that your knee is lined up with your foot here. And then I'm rotating the back leg in and out. So I'm kind of lifting my ankle up. And then again, you can kind of roll back and forth if that feels good. If you find a good spot, feel free to hang out there. Take some nice deep breaths. And then when you're ready, we'll rearrange that peanut into this arrangement. Again, make sure that you're not right on your bones because that feels terrible. You can kind of roll back and forth here a little bit if it feels good. You can also stay still if it's too intense. If those muscles are really tight in there, it might be very intense. And then if you feel good, you feel like you found the right spot, you bring that leg in and then knees together, kind of like a reverse clamshell. Clamshell is the top leg, but this is kind of reverse clamshell. Make sure that you're breathing. And then again, when we're done those, we can kind of roll back and forth. If you find a good spot, hang out there for a few deep breaths. And then come on out. Okay, we're gonna roll our psoas and our quads. So for the psoas one, you have a whole bunch of options. We're gonna put the peanut, we're gonna find our pointy hip bone in front. We're gonna put the peanut just inside that pointy hip bone. So it's like, this is my pointed hip bone, and the peanut's right there. Then we're gonna lay down on our tummies on the ground. Now, I do this one a lot. It's one of my most favorites. So I'm gonna lay on a bunch of blocks to make it more intense. Start with just laying on your tummy on the ground, which will look like this. And get used to that first, okay? Because this one is weird. If you just ate or you just drank some water, it might squish some stuff around. So start with just this. And you'll just lay down like this. If you are gonna try it with blocks, if you have done it before and you do want to try something a little bit more intense, then you're gonna put your blocks right where your hips will be. And you're gonna put your peanut on the block. And you're gonna lay down, again with that peanut right inside the pointy hip bone. Okay. And then you're gonna take some deep breaths because it's gonna feel like a whole bunch of stuff. I'm gonna rearrange just a little bit so that I can talk a little bit more to you guys. Okay. Wherever you are, I'm kicking the ball. Wherever you are, you can just stay, or you can try some of these movements that we're going to introduce. So, thing number one that you can try is just straightening your leg, pointing your foot as straight as you possibly can. And you can leave your forehead on your hands, and then you're just going to lift and lower the leg. If you still want a little bit more, then you can exhale and lift up to a little cobra, really extending through that leg. And then inhale, release. Exhale, lift up. And when I'm in this little cobra, I'm really actively pulling my hands towards my body, like to traction my body and lengthen my spine. And make sure you breathe. And then after you've done a bunch of those, I'm just gonna come up onto my elbows, and then it's under my right side right now. So I'm gonna kind of lean my torso to the left, and I can kind of traction my muscle a little bit that way. And then I like to roll my leg in and out of turn up here. And I just think it feels really good. You don't have to do this one if you're like, this is excruciating. Don't do it. But if it feels good, you could give it a try. And make sure that you are breathing wherever you are. And then you can come on up. We're gonna switch over and we're gonna do the other side right away. So you're gonna move the peanut over, and again, you can lay flat on the ground. You don't have to use blocks or books or anything like that. They just make life harder and more intense. And again, the peanut is like pointy hip bone. Peanut is bottom ball of the peanut is like just inside the pointy hip bone. And again, remember that the sides of your body are different. So what feels good on one side might not feel as good on the other side. Especially if you have a tighter side and a less tight side. That would make a huge difference. If you did the lifting and lowering on one side, again, I like to try and keep both sides of my body the same. If you notice a huge difference in how one side feels, you don't have to do the lifting and lowering on the second side if this one's way worse or something. But if you are going to do it, then I would start with forehead on your hands, engage your leg, lengthen your leg away from you, and then lift and lower just your leg a few times so that your body can kind of get used to the sensation before you add in the torso and make it super intense. And then when you're ready, I'm inhaling and lifting my torso, and then exhaling and folding back over. Inhale, lift. Exhale, relax. And I'm pulling my hands towards my body to really traction my spine here. So my hands aren't moving along the ground, they're just like actively pulling towards my hips. And then after I've lifted and lowered a couple times, I like to come up onto my elbows. And again, the peanut's now under the left hip. So I'm gonna keep my left leg super strong, super engaged. And then I'm gonna kind of lean my torso over to the right to really traction that muscle. And then I'm gonna rotate my left leg in and out a little bit. Feels pretty good. And then when you're ready, come on up and come back to a child's pose for a moment. Just lay your back, relax. And then roll it up. We are gonna do your quads next. It's gonna be so good. That was a little bit sarcastic. Quads are my least favorites. They hurt so much. So, again, same principles apply. Peanut can go on the ground. Peanut can go on a book or a block or whatever you have. The higher up you lift the peanut, the more intense it will feel, as per usual. We're gonna start with it at the top of the quad. So this is like where my hip flexor is, where my leg would crease when I'm like lifting my leg. And the peanut's just a little bit below that. So we're gonna start here, then we'll move down, then we'll move down. Maybe we'll move down one more time. We're not gonna roll on top of our knees, because it's not good for our joints. We are gonna do a little bit of a bend and straighten with the leg. So set yourself up. I'm gonna face this way so you can see what's happening with my leg. So I'm gonna lay down just like this. And my other leg is kind of popped out to the side. I'll switch so you can see what that other leg's doing too. So it's kind of like this. The reason I have this leg out to the side is so that I'm not holding like a plank the whole time. You can do it like this, but if you are going to do it with your legs straight back, you have to be very aware of what your lower back is doing and make sure that your core stays engaged the whole time to protect your spine. If I bring my leg out to the side, I find that I have to work a little less hard to hold myself up, and then I can spend a little bit more energy focusing on what my leg that's being rolled is doing. So I like to keep my leg out to the side for that reason. And then once you're here, you can just gently rock back and forth a little bit. If that feels good and you want a little bit more, all you're going to do is bend and straighten. And then make sure that you don't have a huge sway back here. Make sure that your abs are engaged a little bit wherever you are. And when you're ready, move down the leg a little bit. And generally, the slower you go, the more you'll get out of this. And we'll move down one more time. I guess it depends how long your legs are, how much space you have for moving down. And I'm exhaling as my leg bends and inhaling as it straightens. Whatever you're doing, just make sure that you connect the movement to some sort of breathing. Don't hold your breath. Let's move down one more time. Again, not right on top of that knee joint. We're still above it. And then the next thing that I'm going to do is actually turn this lengthways, grab the other one, I'm going to line both of them up. And then I'm going to put the block at this end, peanut. I'm going to put the peanut at this end of the block. And I'm going to put the top of my quad on top of the peanut just here. You'll see why in a second. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll all the way down the length of my quad. You can probably see why I have the blocks all lined up now, because it migrates a little bit. And then I'm going to roll back. And you can kind of go back and forth a little bit on your quad. Careful not to fall off of your books or blocks or whatever. And then come on up and we'll switch sides. I'm going to flip around so you can still see my leg. So again, I'm starting at the top of my quad. My other leg is propped out to the side. My knee feels really bony on the floor, so I'm actually going to put some padding under that knee. Feel free to do that too if you want. And then when I found the good spot, I'm just going to bend and straighten. And then when you're ready, you can lift yourself up and scooch down a little bit. And I'm trying to do approximately the same locations on this leg that I did on the other one. And again, lift up and shift. And one more. Making sure that you're not right on top of that knee joint. And again, remembering to connect your breath with your movements. And then I'm gonna grab both of my books or blocks or whatever. That was, in fact, me saying books, because I combined books and blocks. You're welcome. So I'm making that runway, and then I'm going to put this at the back of the runway. And then I'm going to put the top of my leg on there, and I'm going to roll forwards and backwards. Amazing. Nice job. Come back. We got one more thing to roll, and then I'll let you guys go. For this one, depending on how mobile your hips are in like a frog pose direction, you're gonna want blocks to make this easier for you to access your inner thigh. So we're gonna roll our inner thighs now. And we're gonna start with the block again at the top, and then we're gonna migrate it down a few times, staying off of the tendons on the inside of our knee. So feel around and you'll find a spot where it feels like it's rolling in your muscle and doing something, and then there will be a spot that just feels terrible. And that probably means that you've gone too far. Like I wouldn't roll right here. I stop like around here, because if I go further this way, it's just not nice feeling. And again, the blocks are actually gonna make your life easier for this one instead of more intense and harder. So I'm gonna start with 2 blocks. I don't know if that's the right amount. We'll find it. And you're gonna put the peanut on there. And then we're gonna start with it right up at the very top of our leg, near our groin. So I'm gonna come down onto my elbows here. Oh, I think 2 blocks is too much. I'm gonna fall off. It's a fine line. You gotta find your balance. And then my other leg is just extended out behind me on the floor, and I'm laying down on my elbows. And I'm trying to keep this knee in line with my hip. And then all I'm gonna do is straighten and bend my leg. It's gonna feel so good. And then if you want, you can also keep your leg bent and rotate in and out of turnout. That one feels nice too. And then when you're ready, you can scooch down a little bit and do the same thing. I like to inhale as I straighten my leg and exhale as I bend my leg. And let's rotate in and out here as well. Let's move down one more time. And again, if it's intense, you can just like put the peanut under your leg and then stay here. You don't have to bend and straighten. Just make sure that you do like start at the top and move down so that you are at least massaging your whole leg. And again, we're inhaling to stretch, exhaling to bend. And you can in fact bring your hand up here and lean down on your leg if you want it to be more intense. And let's rotate in and out. And I feel like I can move down a tiny bit more one more time, so I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to rotate in and out one last time. Oh, incredible. Other side. I'm starting up at the very top of my leg again. And I do find, I think that rolling makes a big difference to how painful it is when I get on a hoop. You know how sometimes I teach you guys stuff in class and you're like, this hurts so much. And I like haven't realized that it's gonna be painful for you. We'll rotate the leg in and out. I think that rolling helps your muscles be ready for that pressure from the bar or the silks or whatever a little bit more. And I also think that rolling makes a huge difference in my flexibility training as well, just in like, oh, I moved down a little bit. Just in like it helps release some of my resting muscle tension. So I think that my muscles carry a lot of tension all the time, so I hope this makes a difference for you guys. Especially since we're taking all of this enforced time off of being on apparatuses. Maybe it'll make it hurt less when you come back. And let's move down a little bit. And my knees make a huge amount of noise when I release my inner thighs, so your knees might be making some weird clicking sounds. As long as it doesn't hurt and it's like an air bubble popping kind of thing, that's okay. We don't want any like clunking or grinding feelings though. Well, let's move down one last time. The other thing to keep in mind, you guys, is as you roll, as your muscles get a little bit more relaxed and a little bit more used to having this rolling thing happen to them, you'll be able to do more of the movements and it'll hurt less. So that's pretty cool too. Okay, come on out. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope it felt as fantastic to your body as it did to mine. And I'll see you guys next time. Nice work. feel like we should keep this self high five thing we've got going on. We've done it in every video I've filmed this week, so give yourself a high five.